the whole thing, huh? Oh, whatever, man. We got to keep on trucking. You got to walk it off. Shout out to Gene Ryu 33, Quick Sloth, Alejandro Solis, Adam Hurley, Earl Stevens, 2 Matador Nightmurph in the house, or as they calling him now, Nightmerk. This guy turned into a merc. He's murking people in the Discord. He was going after Food TV, aka Julio, and on the Discord the other day. I'm telling you, he's powering up. Shout out to Knockout Ned, Quick Sloth, HJ92, Ralph Von Real, Trey Ason, Adam Hurley, Mars Boxeo. Who else is here? Knockout Ned, Champy. I think I already mentioned him. And anybody else that's going to be coming in, if I forgot who you are, guys, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Yeah, that's the other thing. Allow me to complain a little bit here about the Blog Talk. Blog Talk, they're phasing them out now. Okay, they're phasing them out. So it's not like they're going to be around for much longer, but we've been using them since 2019, I want to say. It ain't cheap. 60 buckaroos per month to have access to their phone lines. And in the last couple of, in this year alone, it has been horrendous service. No wonder they're phasing it out. We're going to be switching up to another one. Bucho and I are working on the details. We're doing tests. We got one test scheduled for tomorrow, so hopefully none of this happens again. But I will tell you this, I tested them out 20 minutes ago before coming on the air. They're working. 20 minutes later, they're no longer working. What are they saying now? Hold on, I'm trying one last time here, see what they tell me. And I don't think they're working.
We are sorry, but we are experiencing a problem with our system.
Did you hear that?
Please try your call again later or report a problem through the Blog Talk.
Report a problem. And what are they going to do about it? Nothing. Now, no wonder they're phasing this shit out. Unbelievable. But anyway, we are going to get, I'm going to open up the StreamYard in case you guys want to call in. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to yap for about 10 minutes, then try the phone lines again. And if that doesn't work, then at that point, I will put the StreamYard on. The reason why I yap a little bit and yak it up is because I want to get people interested in what we're going to be talking about first, throw out some subjects, and then people can call in. Maybe you can turn this into a open lines Tuesday. You never know. Excuse me, Monday. What am I talking about? Open lines Monday. See, that's how incensed I am over this Blog Talk thing. That they got me all worked up, man. I'm losing track of the days now. I might be able to sue, now that I think about it, for emotional distress. I'll contact Rifle Shapiro later on. Let's talk about the big news here, because we were on the air yesterday, and 24 hours later, we're waiting for some more news. Well, we got a couple of news here. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about some of the other, what's the word I'm looking for here? Little rumblings or little skirmishes going on in Twitter between fighters. And then I also want to talk about the fights that are going to be taking place this weekend. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts when you call in, whether you're looking forward to any of the fights this weekend as well. The big thing is Bob Arum has come out, and now he hasn't come out of the closet, but he's come out to announce that Teofimo Lopez versus Boots Ennis is a fight that they're looking for. Now, color me skeptical, because, nowadays in the age of the internet, people like to talk, they announce fights, and then they never happen. Or they announce that they're interested in a fight, meanwhile they're already negotiating with another guy, and they're just using that as leverage, blah, blah, blah. But this is what Bob Arum told Boxing Scene today. That's the fight we want, and I believe we can make it happen, he said. I believe we can make it happen. And why not? Right? Because, they would be willing to work with Matchroom. They've done it before, especially if the Sheik somehow gets involved in this type of stuff. Now, that would be very interesting. In fact, they mentioned the Sheik here. He says, the proposed showdown comes at a time for the Philadelphia Ennis when he's cornered to step up and make the bout following his retreat from a proposed 154-pound fight offered by the Turkey Al-Sheik. Now, would the Sheik be willing to still work with Ennis and make this fight or be involved in anything involving Ennis? I don't know. The interesting thing about this is that they mentioned that Lopez was apprehensive about whether Top Rank alone could finance this fight. Hence, what they're saying that this would be a joint pay-per-view between ESPN and The Zone. So The Zone, which said no more pay-per-views a couple of years ago, they're still in that business of pushing pay-per-views. And this is what that would involve. This is what it would entail. More money from us boxing fans. More money involving two guys that aren't pay-per-view stars, that aren't even that great attractions. But hey, that's the world we're living in now. If we want to watch these type of fights, we got to shell out extra cash. unless the Sheik gets involved and offers us the bout for a moderate, reasonable price. Other than that, we're probably expecting a 69 to maybe even 100 buckaroos to pay for this one. But now the most important thing is not necessarily the business aspect of it, is will it happen? And if it does happen, who are you guys picking in this brouhaha, in this fisticuffs affair? Because I got to tell you, Teofimo Lopez is the type of guy that doesn't like having to chase guys. He doesn't do well against people who can jab or people who can move. Refer you to Sandor Martin, refer you to Ortiz, Jermaine Ortiz, that is. Even a guy like Eddie Stattel, who doesn't really move that much, wasn't giving Lopez any openings and he was looking bad. Lomachenko, when he was giving him excessive movement, Lopez wasn't doing much. His fans like to talk about the body shots. I guess they went to the Devin Haney school of scoring fights. The body shots. But then the body shots evidently weren't all that great or that effective if Lomachenko, the smaller, older guy, was able to close the fight stronger. So again, Lopez, he's got a lot of good things going for him. One of those things is not chasing a guy down and cutting the ring off. And yeah, I know there's an asterisk involved in that because Ortiz was moving excessively. It's not like Lopez had a guy who was standing in front of him and he couldn't hit him. But that's the book out on Teofimo Lopez. He cannot handle movement all that well. Flip side to that coin is that Jaron Ennis is neither a mover nor a great defensive fighter. In fact, he reminds me a little bit more in terms of opponents that Teofimo Lopez has seen before. He reminds me a little bit about Josh Taylor, a guy who's tall, rangy. He has an good amateur background, or at least appears to have good skills and good speed, but he chooses to be more of a mid-range to inside fighter. That's Jaron Ennis, that's Josh Taylor, and maybe Lopez could pull off some type of Josh Taylor affair. Karen wasn't running in the second fight against Jaron Ennis, and he was tagging Ennis all night. Even when he was tired, he was tagging him. And there's really no excuse for Ennis for that performance. He wants to blame the weight. And then later on in an interview with, I think it's called SMS Media. I think they're based out of Philadelphia. He said that, well, I wasn't really motivated for the fight. Geez, what a glowing endorsement for a career, right, guys? That's really going to get us pumped up to watch his next fight. Oh, next fight, you're wondering, well, the people who actually paid to go watch him fight, they might be wondering, well, how do we know he's motivated for this one? What if he lays out another performance where we're not impressed with him? Now, if I'm a boxing fan, I would have been happy going to that fight because it was actually a good fight. It wasn't a boring one. But you get what I'm saying is it's never a good thing when a fighter says, well, I wasn't motivated. I mean, geez, Louise, you're getting paid a good, cool million, right, at least? How much did he make for that Karen rematch? Let me go check that out. It's got to be $1 million. Let me go see. According to the first result here, the first special result box on Google, it says 1.3 mil. Now, I know with inflation and all that, $1 million isn't what it used to be, but it's still $1 million. There's guys out there fighting in smokers and fucking basements. They would love to get themselves $500,000, let alone $1 million. So for him to say, I wasn't motivated, maybe you should stay quiet on that one because that's not a good look. But that being said, I was saying that Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. Hey, if he beat Josh Taylor, maybe he can beat Jaron Ennis. But there's a bit of a difference here. First of all, Josh Taylor looked horrendous against Jack Catterall prior to the Teofimo Lopez fight. And then on top of that, he looked bad in that fight, right? Then he waited out a year before taking on Teofimo Lopez. Then he lost. Then he waited another year and a half, I think it was, right? Before he got in, I guess, Catterall in the rematch. And he looked awful in that one too. So Josh Taylor, maybe because a combination of staying inactive, maybe that plus, being such a tall guy and killing himself to make 140, maybe that all coalesced into him losing against Lopez. Because let me tell you, I watched that Lopez fight not that long ago. I rewatched it, all of it. Taylor wasn't doing that bad in the first 6 rounds. People make it out to be like I thought he was winning the fight. Then little by little, Teofimo Lopez started turning it on. But you got to wonder, was it that he turned it on or was it that Josh Taylor slowed down? And then Lopez did what he did and he ended up beating him. But you have to wonder if Ennis isn't killing himself to make 147, Apparently, he's still willing to fight 147, and he doesn't slow down. Can Teofimo Lopez make it past him? See, that's a dangerous thing. We don't know if Teofimo Lopez was really that good against Josh Taylor, or if it was a question of Josh Taylor being compromised. And if he was compromised, this could be giving Teofimo Lopez false confidence. He could be running headfirst into a beating here. Because say what you want about Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis now has gone from being overrated to underrated. Now people are making out to be as this guy is food for everybody at 147 or 154. No. This guy, he still has tremendous speed, power. Just those two things alone make him a tough test against anyone. And Teofimo Lopez would be coming up in weight. So Teofimo Lopez really I will give him credit. If he really is looking for this fight, I'll give him credit for getting it, if he does indeed get the fight. Because, I mean, this is a tough ask for him. He's got his work cut out for him. And now some people could say the other flip side to that coin is, well, he's looking after Jaron Ennis now that Ennis looked bad against Karen. So maybe hold your horses on giving him too much praise, BDA. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Curious to hear what you guys have to think about that, or have to say about that, rather, because it is an interesting fight. I already saw on Twitter some people were giving Ennis flack for even entertaining the idea of this fight, because he would be fighting a guy moving up. In fact, was it Ray Jackson? That dude, yeah, people hate Ray Jackson, but I think they got to take what he says with a grain of salt. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, with a little bit of trolling there. But he mentioned the fact that, I think it was him, by the way. I'm not sure. Somebody along that community said that, Ennis bringing up a guy from 140, that's okay. But Tank Davis bringing up little guys, that's not okay. And I'm thinking, well, there's a bit of a difference. I understand the argument, but there's a bit of a difference here. Teofimo Lopez is the undisputed, that's right, undisputed guy at 140. Whereas the guys Tank is fighting from below, from lower weight classes, they're barely, maybe they're the best guy, but they're certainly not the man in the divisions. And Teofimo Lopez is certainly a cut above guys like Hector Luis Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, and Lamont Roach. No offense to Lamont Roach. I know he's been trying to give it his all, but it is what it is. So yeah, there is a difference between calling out those guys and getting Teofimo Lopez in there. Trying with the phone lines again here, fellas. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just see if the message works here. I'm waiting for the woman to
start
say,
your show now.
Come on. Tell me you're working. Tell me they're working. Come on. Give me some good news here. Oh, and that's the other thing. I tried, there's a feature there where you click that button, it says end session, right? The phone lines. It won't even let you.
But we're experiencing.
There you go. Shut up. It won't even let you end the episode. That's how you know everything's all screwed up over there. You click on the button and everything just freezes on you. So anyway, we're going to be using StreamYard. So you guys call in, give us your thoughts on anything we're talking about or anything you want to talk about. Make sure to do that. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Really helps us out. And if you want to donate a couple of shekels, we've got what's it called again? The Buy Me a Beer. I believe the link's in the description, PayPal or Patreon. By the way, we're going to be dropping real soon today, perhaps. Yes, most likely today. It's already finished. A free video on Patreon for you guys regarding Usyk and Tyson Fury. So stay on the lookout for that one. All right, free content coming in. Patreon. You don't have to pay. You can pay as low as $2 per month, but even then you'll still get free content. So it's worth going over there. I guess this is Dora. Hold on a second. I can't hear you. Hold on. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, give me a second. Yeah, I'll talk about the Teo shit in a bit. So, like with the Paro Hitchens fight, I just kind of wanted to make this like clear for anyone listening and watching. As much as like we give shit to the back foot Afro Anglo style, it's a lot of it's on these fighters too for allowing them to do the bare minimum to win. So as much as Hitchens looked like shit and was lazy, one punch at a time kind of fighter, only throwing the 1, the 2, and sometimes the 3, never going to the body, doing anything else. It's on Paro too for not making Hitchens take the fight to him and not allowing himself to have counterpunching opportunities. He wasn't throwing his left hand to the body. He did late at the fight, but by then it was too late, and he gave the fight away really, like from round 6 on. So a lot of these guys need to stop letting Black Americans do the bare minimum. They need to stop conceding to the fact that, oh, they're going to fight like this. It's not going to be exciting. Oh, I have to be the crowd pleaser 100%. I got to be the one that makes this fight entertaining and exciting, give the fans what they pay for. Fuck that. If these Crips aren't going to, actually fight to make the sport better, then it is what it is. You got to play into their fucking game, or they're just going to win, and then all these fucking retard Sharpie channels are going to act like they're the best. They have the best fighters in the world when they're the laziest fighters in the fucking sport. And now that I had to rant about that, going into the Teo fight, I think Eddie Hearn is going to make Teo versus Hitchens first before he ever potentially makes a fight with Ennis. Ennis is naturally bigger, so I kind of do see that as a 50-50 fight, and that's the only reason why I do, is because Ennis is physically bigger than Teo. If they're the same size, it's a mismatch. And yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that. But I think Eddie's gonna make the Hitchens fight with Teo first, because he's gonna try and maximize his opportunity with both fighters, and to try and get Teo to fight both these guys, maybe somewhere on the East Coast, because they can make a lot of money in New York. If Hitchens and Teo fight in New York, they're gonna make really good money sometime in April of next year, I would imagine. So that's what, if Teo can make the weight healthy, that's what he should be targeting, I think, first. And Eddie Hearn will probably try and set up draw Ennis with like some sort of easy unification against Barrios or some shit, just so that he can build his confidence back up after the way he looked against Karen. Yeah. And it'll also make, and if Teo knocks out Hitchens, right, after all the trolling these like LDBC blacks have been doing to him and everything he's been doing on Twitter too, he's been doing it too, like playing into it. It'll make the fight bigger. So I think that's kind of his roadmap, is Hitchens, then Boots Ennis. But yeah, just don't, and that's all. That's basically all I had to say. Just
all right.
As much we don't like these certain fighter styles, we got to call out the fighter for allowing these people to fight in such a manner that is not good for the sport. So
I agree.
That's all.
I agree. Other than the insensitive and pejorative language you used, I agree with everything you said. Same thing with Kambosos when he fought Haney, which this Saturday's fight between Paro and Hitchens was like a facsimile of that. You get a guy in Kambosos who's trying to fight one punch at a time. Then he finally fights a guy who's superior at that than him and who actually has a jab. He could not work his way on the inside. It seemed like he failed to understand the concept of how to work your way on the inside. Like he never tried it before. He never heard of it before. It was amazing. I was aghast and disgusted at the same time. So you're absolutely right. You got to call those guys out too for their lack of skills. Absolutely.
Well, that's not even just their lack of skills. It's also the submitting to the fact that they're the ones that always have to make the fight. They feel like they have to engage every single time and shit. Because, Paro was winning the jab battle, especially for the first 5-6 rounds of that fight. But he wasn't throwing his left hand to the body after pushing, what's his name? Hitchens back. He was always he was leading in, going straight for his face, not disguising his punch or his backhand. He was too predictable. But what I'm getting at is, like, you can't let these guys just do nothing. Throw one punch at a time, do the bare minimum when they have height, reach, and weight on you. So they're naturally bigger than you. And then you let these guys be lazy and come to them, and then they just beat you. I mean, yeah, Lomachenko was able to do that against Haney, but Paro's no fucking Lomachenko. So that's just what it is. They're lazy as fuck. Get these Crips out of boxing. And these fighters, these foreign fighters, need to be held accountable. And they need to stop letting these fucking blacks be lazy.
Geez, Luis. All right,
it makes for a horrible. I'm about to bounce, but it makes for a horrible entertainment value. Absolutely trash.
We gotta
go.
So
it's Paro's fault too.
How come the Block Talks like lines fail me, but the StreamYard doesn't fail me when it needs to, when he's going on these rants. I just want to say, let me put up the disclaimer here again. Where's the disclaimer? There you go. The views expressed by the callers, the panelists, are not reflective of the views of the BD organization. Right, fellas? He was doing well there. He made some good points, Dora did, and then he just crashes the plane. All right, let's go on our phone call here. Let's go to Amok calling in. Amok, is that you? He's having a seizure. What's up, Amok?
I'm on the other side of the coin. I totally disagree with you guys, and the reason for that is a lot of these athletes are getting overpaid just to be a staller. We need to start boycotting some of these referees like that. Hopefully they get fired and send out. And that's another issue, is that some of these referees, I mean, I kind of question if they even have 20/20 vision.
No, you're right. I think some of these guys might be drunk before they get in that ring.
Yeah, they might hit the vape pen or take a few shots of Jack and then start running out there the ref, because they're not calling the clinching, they're not calling the framing, the elbows,
About the
the
framing.
stalling.
You're starting to veer into a hipster territory there. You got to pull out the 65. You got to pull out the car jack. You got to pull off the steering wheels. Like, what? What are you talking about? All these boxing terms. Just say jab. Just
Yeah.
the right hand.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, a lot of these, I hate to say it, the Afro-Anglo athletes are being overpaid. If you don't believe me, ask Eddie Hearn. I'm sure he'll break it down for you.
Eddie Hearn is really at the forefront of overpaying some of these boring guys. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's like he signs up Shakur Stevenson. Maybe because he thinks that he used to do decent ratings on ESPN. They think they're going to do something with this dude. But Eddie Hearn will learn. He will learn what it is to have to deal with boring fighters who think or overrate their worth, rather. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Anything else you want to say, Amok?
Yeah, we need to start lynching some of these.
No. I'm hanging up on you. Take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in. All right. I don't know what's going on here, fellas. It was supposed to be a nice little call-in show, Monday call-in show. First, the phone lines don't work. Then there was some weird music in the background. Now we've got 2 phone calls in a row. People really trying to destroy the little utopia we got going here. Unacceptable. Guys, if you want to call in, make sure to do so via the StreamYard. Again, the Blog Talk phone lines are down, so make sure to call in via StreamYard. Give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. Now, I wanted to say this about the Duran Ennis Lopez thing is, yeah, Lopez has a shot, right? Because, I mean, Ennis is hittable. So there's that to be to take into consideration. But Teofimo Lopez, man, I don't know, man. Again, I think some of his fights were illusions. Again, the Josh Taylor thing, I think it boosted his confidence, but he might not really have been the best Josh Taylor out there. And now he would have to move up to 147. He's already proven that at 140, his power is not really that much. And by the way, some people have given him flack for being unable to stop Claggett, because everyone was saying, yeah, but now he's fighting a guy who's going to be coming at him. He better stop him. And he couldn't, which does deserve criticism. But I also give Claggett a little bit of credit here. And I'm not just saying that because he's Canadian, but because he took some hellacious shots and he looked on the verge of going down. I think the only thing that kept him up was conditioning and heart. I don't know. I don't think that fight represents fully the fact that Lopez's punching power is kaput. Now, obviously, it's not as good as he was at 135. And even then, some people can posit or theorize that, or argue rather, that his power was never really that much at 135. We'll see. We'll see what happens at 147. Some people, again, like I said, are skeptical about whether this fight even happens. So we'll see. We'll see what goes down with that. Shout out to Del Boy, who says Claggett rhymes with, oh, geez, Luis. 8 Count says Teo isn't pound for pound good, but not pound for pound. Well, depends on, I mean, again, everyone has their own different criteria nowadays for pound. But if you're going by accomplishments and skill, then yeah, he deserves to be pound for pound. Super Sardonic says Teofimo versus Martin Bacoli. The winner is a true king of Scotland. Yeah, that's right. You got these people now, the Josh Taylor. He took the mantle off of Taylor, right? The king of Scotland. The king of Caledonia. Grievous says 2 pints of lager. Lager? I don't know how they say it. Isaac Bermuda says Shakira, talking about Shakur Stevenson, prime example of victim mentality and saying fuck the fans and getting away with a sleep fest. Yeah, he's really one of those dudes that thinks we owe it to him to watch his genius, right? Because he probably thinks himself as a boxing genius. I'm a boxing genius, y'all. Y'all don't appreciate genius when it's right smack dab in the middle of you. Because he comes from the Terence Crawford and Clarissa Shields school of telling everybody how great you are. And it seems like they don't even believe it themselves. I don't know. It's weird. Shout out to Double L. He says, BDA, if you want me to call in, you have to be ask extra nicely. I don't think I asked you in the first place. Handful Boxing Review says, keep it above the belt or I'll deduct a point. Yes, please. Keep some of these degenerates on check. It's ridiculous. I mean, we allow people to say pretty much whatever they want, but try to exert some discretion, please. Speaking of that, I'm going to repost the StreamYard link here. Again, the phone lines aren't working, so we're using StreamYard. Make sure to call in via there. What else can I say about this Teofimo Lopez? Oh, yeah, the other thing. Teofimo Lopez with Duran Ennis. It's a big ask of Teofimo Lopez because Duran Ennis is listed as 5'10", And I think he's got along the lines of a 5 or 6 inch reach advantage. Like I said, Jaron Ennis is not a mover. He's not Jermaine Ortiz. So I don't think he makes Lopez look that bad with the footwork, but his power and speed, yeah, that could be a different thing there. Could be a different thing, absolutely. And I don't think he'll slow down like Josh Taylor did in their fight. So that's what I've got on that. The other thing I wanted to mention here briefly about that is, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Who wins that one? Who wins that fight? Real quick, we got boxing this Saturday. We're going to get to that later on. Yafai, Gal Yafai, who recently stopped Sonny Edwards, he made some interesting comments about the whatchamacallit, the Sonny Edwards fight. Because remember, Sonny Edwards later on said he didn't feel like being in the ring, and so now people are discrediting that win. And he says, well, when Yafai says, well, when he fought Courdiel in June, he looked fine. Now he's complaining and is taking some shine off my win. I don't want to be disrespectful, he said, because we're all right. We get along. We're cool with each other. But he's a smart kid. The comments after the second round got the headlines, which was crazy, because someone as smart as Sonny knows you shouldn't really be saying that when the cameras are on you. I don't know whether he's done it on purpose or he actually feels that way, but he's smarter than what people think. Yeah, absolutely. That little golem knows he's crafty. He's sneaky. He knows how to move. And I think that's because of his diminutive size. I've said it before. You know, that song by Randy Newman, Short People, it's supposed to be satirical. It's supposed to be a maniac who's got a phobia against short people. But I think Randy Newman was onto something when he said they got little hands and dirty little minds. I think that's what happens with diminutive people like Sonny Edwards. It makes them devious, makes them move around in clandestine ways. A lot of subterfuge involved. And I think that's what he's doing here. I think he planned all of this. I think he planned all of this to knowing that Yafai, because it sparred before, I keep calling him Yafai. I think that sparred before. He knew he was getting the business, and he said, you know what, let me preemptively deduct shine from his victory. I think that's exactly what happened. And you know what? I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it. But it was interesting to see Yafai addressed those rumors. Or, I mean, not those rumors, but that issue. Eddie Hearn, who's had a horrendous year, was also on Boxing Scene. And the title of the headline here reads, Eddie Hearn keeps it real and rounds on Matchroom critics. Apparently, people are comparing him to his peers in De La Hoya, Bob Arum, and some of the guys from the PBC, saying that this dude doesn't know how to matchmake. Because I don't know if you saw, but this past Saturday, one of his guys, Hackett, and Jose Roman Vasquez, ended up losing the fights they were supposed to win. So now people are saying, well, he doesn't know how to matchmake him. But Eddie Hearn came back with a good reply. He retorted by saying, if you can't beat those guys, you're not the fighter I thought you are. But then, check this out, then he switches it up because he can't crap on his fighters. He goes, and if you lose tonight, it's not the end of the road for you, which is true. I agree with him on that. You got to rebuild and you've got to come back better. If you don't want to watch competitive fights, if you don't want to see prospect tested just a little bit when they're 8-1, fuck off, don't watch my shows because I'm going to give you real fights. I mean, he's saying that, I'm pretty sure he didn't want his fighters to lose, but he does bring a good point. I mean, people complain, he doesn't know how to promote. What did they want, though? Did they want, first of all, the guys were favorites on paper, meaning it's not like he overmatched his prospects. They just happened to run into, like he said earlier, in the first part of that statement, he said these guys weren't the type of prospects that I really thought they were. And I've said it before, but I'm tired of this De La Hoya clap back his cheeks Thursdays. By the way, you'll notice he stopped doing them, apparently. I haven't seen, or maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen him do it, at least I didn't see him do it last Saturday. Because usually whenever I go on Twitter on Friday morning to check the news, there's always De La Hoya's face greeting me there. His grinning face, like a grinning devilish clown. Eddie Hearn, you lost. It's so cringe. I hate that fucking clapback Thursdays. And that's the other thing. He's got the goal. De La Hoya's got the goal to criticize Eddie Hearn for the horrible year. I've said it before. Did Eddie Hearn ever have over 50% of his stable stolen because he was in rehab? No. So I think the lawyer really needs to, I don't know if he's a 12-stepper, AA or whatever meetings he goes to, but I think they're supposed to teach you a thing or two of humility, right? Or maybe he feels because he hit bottom that, oh, well, now I can criticize anybody because I'm at the bottom and so therefore I'm punching up. I don't get it. The lawyer really needs to find his inner Christian and stop attacking and being so vociferous. Now, some people could say, but BDA, why are you criticizing people? Well, I'm doing it by presenting a good argument for why I criticize people. I'm not just saying, ha, you lost or your fighters lost, which is what the lawyer is doing. Don't forget that the phone lines are down, so if you want to call in, make sure to do so via the StreamYard, posting the link again. And we've got Don Madrazos calling in. Don Madrazos, are you there?
What's going on, fellas? How's it going?
Well, I'm by myself here today, flying solo. It was supposed to be a call-in show, but what's up, man?
Well, that's not the pros, man. You're supposed to have backup over there.
Well, I got the
Where
backup here.
At? Hey, anyway, listen, this whole slap back cheeks, sticking the corduroy tights or whatever the fuck he was wearing in that photo, Oscar De La Hoya shit. I think he got in trouble. I think he got in legitimate trouble.
What?
For yeah, I think he got a legitimate trouble for bringing in Eddie Hearn's for making accusations about Eddie Hearn with Sky Nicholson or some shit like that. Anyway, that's what I heard.
Welcome to Blog Talk
he
Radio.
Accused, Eddie Hearn of sleeping with Sky Nickel, and Eddie Hearn's wife got pissed.
Oh.
And it wasn't, they weren't pissed at Eddie Hearn. Obviously, they knew that, little fishnet stockings over there was full of shit. Right. So he made up this fucking story, and then I think he tried to go back on it, and he deleted it, and he told everybody that the algorithm and the bots were against him.
Now that sounds like something that...
No, I mean, this is a fucking guy who will, like, what are you doing, man? Even if it was true, you're going to rat him out to his wife? You fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, how many people could have ratted De La Hoya out when he was doing his...
No fucking shit, bro. That guy, that motherfucker, I mean, I have it on good authority because, we grew up in a similar neighborhood, not too far from each other. And that guy was fucking, like, he was on a ski lift. 24/7 on a fucking ski lift, just getting high as fuck and banging all kinds of broads everywhere. Apparently broads didn't, I guess, wasn't enough for him, so he had to go a step further. But that's another conversation.
Come on.
Anyway, that's what I heard. I don't know, maybe you might want to do some investigation on that shit. But I'm gonna choo-choo out of here, you guys. I'll catch you in the flip-flop. I'll see you later. Take it easy.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in, Don Madrazos. That makes sense, man. That makes sense that Eddie Hearn or somebody involved in there would have complained, because I think that was the last Clapback Cheeks Thursday that he did.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
I'm trying the phone lines again. I think that was the last one where he mentioned that about Eddie Hearn potentially banging Sky Nicholson. And, he was making some accusations about that, right? That they were supposedly up to no good. I don't know. It's interesting. Eddie Hearn, why wouldn't he? That's like Sky Nicholson. She's a good-looking broad. But there is that old adage of don't shit where you eat. Excuse my language, but that's how it goes. And it's true. I mean, why would you get involved? Like, you can get, he could potentially go to a club or something, get some high-level escorts if he really wanted to or something like that. He has to go out he has to get it on with a boxer. I think that's stupid. I think that's really, really stupid from Eddie Hearn. And that would have deserved a clapback Thursdays, but still, the lawyer apparently got in trouble for that. So in other words, even if it's true, why point it out to a fellow whatchamacallit, promoter, especially when, like I said, De La Hoya has plenty of skeletons in his closet. What does he think? No one's going to air that out if they get a hold of him?
To start your show now, press 1.
I don't know. It's very, very bizarre from De La Hoya. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of that. Hopefully somebody asked Eddie Hearn about it. What are people in the chat saying? Hold on a second. Unipolarity or multipolarity says still can't be proven in court of
We
law.
are sorry, but we're experiencing a problem with our system.
There you go.
Please.
Phone lines are still aren't working. Anyway, he says still can't be proven in court of law. Probably why he stopped. Sober, shout out to Sober, says he's got skeletons up his ass too. Well, that's what plenty. Yeah, Jim Ryu says plenty of utensils too. Yeah, that's what people are saying. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix says cha cha choo choo. I'll catch you on the flip glove. With this, what the hell is Madrazo talking about? I don't know. I've learned to stop questioning what he's saying, especially when he didn't. You'll notice he didn't curse up a storm today, so that's why I wasn't pushing too much. Shout out to hold on. I think somebody donated via the Buy Me a Coffee. Shout out to Jin Ryu for his contribution with the super chat. I know that's not well. Shout out to him too because he gave yesterday too. So double reminder. I thought somebody had. Oh, okay, no, sorry. I received a message from somebody else. Okay, excuse me. I'll have to deal with reply with this comment later because I'm really busy right now. Holy shit. All right, geez. Okay, I gotta talk to somebody after this show. Hopefully he's all right. All right. So shout out to everybody out there. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to hit the like. Let me check the StreamYard. See if anybody's there. No, okay, guys. We're using StreamYard because the phone lines aren't working. So make sure there's a link if you want to call in via StreamYard. So Eddie Hearn again. Yeah, I'd rather see. I'm tired of some of these shows here in Montreal, for example, where you get these up and coming prospects, and nowadays they used to match them up with Mexicans. They would get these fat Mexicans. They would ship him in here from obviously from Tijuana or somewhere, and they gave it a good go. Some of these guys are in shape. They're tomato cans, but their tomato cans were in shape. But then they're just mismatches against some of these dudes here from Montreal who can't crack an egg. So it's a boring 6-round decision, 4-round decision. Now they're starting to import Argentinians. That's what I noticed here in Montreal. Now that the boxers are being matched against Argentinians, I guess they got a premium on Argentinians. Maybe Mexicans, because the economy is starting to do better in Mexico now. Maybe the premiums went up or something. I don't know. So now it's these Argentinians. And these are mismatches, and I hate them. 6 in a row. I don't want to watch a mismatch. I'd rather see a couple of prospects get their heads caved in and their O's taken away. That's much more entertaining. I don't understand what's going on here with some of these guys making fun of prospects for losing. Some more prospects should be losing. There's way too many false prospects out there. You ever notice prospect rhymes with profit? And that's what we've been getting in the last couple of years. It's the year of revelation, the decade of revelation is at hand, people. The true revelation. And I, who have contact with God, have received divine revelation. And one of the things he's been telling me is, watch out for the false prophets. It could have been prophets or it could have been prospects. I'm not sure. But if it is prospects, then that's exactly what he's saying. And in fact, haven't we been seeing that? Ladies and gentlemen, haven't we been seeing that this last couple, even just this year alone? Yes, not everyone lost, but there was a lot of revelation. The veil got taken down for a lot of these fighters who thought they were hot shit. Reality hit them in the keister, mister, and it said, you are not who you think you are. You better get right with the Lord, because he doesn't play games or suffer fools lightly. What I was going to say, too, about that is... Where was? Oh, yeah. Let's talk a little bit before we get on to some of the more dramatic things out there. Let's talk about the fights that are taking place this Saturday, just to give you an idea of what's out there in case you're not too familiar with these names. You know what? I got to switch up these alerts, man, because I'm not used to using a phone, by the way. So whenever I hear an alert, it's like a Pavlovian thing where it's danger, danger, danger. That's what I hear when I hear an alert. It is literally an alert. And I don't like it. But I tell you what I do like. When you guys hit that like and you guys call in via the StreamYard, I really appreciate that. I want to talk to somebody here. So make sure to do that. Danger. Shout out to Jin Ryu for his contribution to the Super Chat. It seems I coerced him by mentioning him. He says, fine, Mr. BDA, you coerced me to buy you some beer. Some shekels to get you better phone lines. Salute. I don't drink beer. Let me tell you, but it will go to the phone lines, Ryu. Shout out to you, man. And yeah, this phone, don't get me started on the Block Talk, man. Outrageous that they charge so much and they're so ineffective nowadays. But like I said, they're done with. They're shutting down in January. And even if they weren't shutting down, we're not using any of the new stuff. They're whatever it is they're embarking on now because it's been ridiculous. But shout out to Jin Ryu 33. Really appreciate it. Let me see what a couple of people in the chat are saying first. Blue Collar Sports TV, aka Delboy, says these prospects remain prospects for like 6 years. Yeah, and that's the other thing is, look, we all know that in boxing, if you're not the real deal, you'll get found out. So unless these fake prospects or false prospects, that's what we're going to call them from now on, unless these false prospects, these Satanists, unless they're draws at the box office, what's the point of delaying the inevitable? They're going to get found out anyway. So just whether they take a loss here or there doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? Like I said, unless they're whatchamacallit, box office attractions. Team Batman Boxing says, Munguia with a standard demolition job, always exciting to watch regardless. Two Matador says, Cherry Stank Davis, Cherry Stank, 30-year-old prospect. Blue Collar Sports TV said, BDA's autism is kicking in. I don't have autism. What's the matter with you? Eparokua says, Crusades 2.0 time. Super Sonic says, let me know if you get the DM on Discord. I'll check the DM. Hard Rico says, I agree, those clapbacks were cringe, but at least he exposed some of boxing and sometimes even funny. Well, at the end of the day, that's what really matters, right? Not only the friends you made along the way, but the laughs you made along the way. Hey, wait a minute, what's going on here with the chat? Oh, don't tell me it's frozen now. Let me see if I can. Oh, okay, here we go. The fuck is going on with the chat? Shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy says the whole American boxing scene needs some reset. And you know what? I'm gonna call Jimmy here because he hasn't. It's a calling show, but I want to talk to the dude. He hasn't been on in a while, and he just messaged me on Discord, which he usually doesn't use. So we got to get to the bottom. We got to make sure Jimmy's okay because he just sent me a message, and I don't know if he'll want to. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna put him on the spot. If he doesn't want to talk about it here, he'll talk to me about it in private. But hopefully, if he wants to come in here and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on in boxing, well, hopefully he caught some of it. Hold on a second. And then, yeah, I want to talk about some of these fights that are going to be taking place this Saturday. We got some good fights. Jimmy!
Oh, what's up, Mr. BDA?
Good to hear your voice, man. It's been a while because, yeah, I've been... Well, I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot. I just read your message. I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't want to talk about what it is you were mentioning there, but good to hear you're back, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to you off the air about it and stuff. It's just, yeah, no, I mean, just a horseshoe up my ass. I could have been, well, I mean, it's nothing major. I just, I survived a multi-car pileup. Literally, a car went from the right. It was after like miles and miles of backed up traffic. It broke free. There was nobody in front of me for a quarter of a mile. Suddenly, a car from my right lane, I was in the middle lane, went across the highway. And I'm like, wow, that dude's just going like down into the fucking gully, right? I'm like, oh shit, that dude's going to go into the trees. But then he tried to fucking come back up on like self-correct, like he must have fell asleep. Punched the guardrail. The whole guardrail broke free and spun across the fucking whole length of the highway. I slammed on. I have a Navigator, so don't handle that great. Fucking barely missed it. Just tinged off my front bumper. The car behind me that hit it literally almost flipped over. His airbags exploded. One of the people in that car was taken by MedFlight. The person who hit the guardrail was killed instantly.
Oh,
it was a fucking no. It was one of the worst pileups. It was just this past second weekend, and I literally, by the grace of God, like it was. I'm surprised I didn't flip the car over, but yeah, no, that was the thing I was saying. That like I was speechless for like I got home and I was shook for about an hour. Like
holy shit,
it was crazy. Had my wife in the car, had our animals, but yeah, so it was fucking crazy, dude. Poor, I guess an old man fell asleep behind the wheel of a car, and the guy didn't make it. I actually caught it on dash cam, but I wouldn't post it because it was a fatality, and I would never try to get clicks off somebody's death.
Okay, you're a different person than I am then. But so it had nothing to do with meteorological issues like ice and snow or something.
No, just dude, it was sunny. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon, but it was bumper to bumpers. You know, you get tired. This guy he was an older guy, I guess, and he must have got tired, and he was out of nowhere. I looked, finally broke free on 495, And I'm like, wow, finally. And all of a sudden, right across the front of me, and he kept going off down into the gully. I'm like, oh shit, that dude's going into the trees. But I think when he, went down, he hit first the things that wake you up, and then into the dirt. Must have woke him up, and he probably panicked and tried to come back up onto the fucking highway. But he went right into one of the beginning of a guardrail, and his car literally exploded. Like fucking into 1,000 pieces, but the whole
Holy
fucking
smokes.
guardrail came free, dude. It was crazy. I was shook, man. It was like, and it just nicked my butt. Like I said, the car that was directly behind me, the passenger out from hitting the guardrail, they had to be med flighted because those guardrails aren't. And like it was a 40-foot piece of guardrail. It was crazy. Go ahead.
Well,
hey, I obviously haven't pissed him off that much. You know what I mean, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And for some reason, since you're from Massachusetts, you guys get similar winters that like we do over here. For some reason, I always picture you as a good driver too. Like that in the moment you'd manage to keep your your wits about you. And so I guess maybe
swear to God.
Yeah.
I was literally almost an argument with my wife. We were talking about an accident I had like 5 years earlier. That came up, I was like, finally, no more surcharges. I hit some ice and I couldn't turn out of it. Just poof, tapped a parked car. And I was telling him, like, no, but seriously, though, I've since I was a kid, I was always the fucking getaway guy. Like, I'm a really good driver. Literally, we were having that conversation when this took place. If I would have put it this way, normal, like, you would just, when that thing slid across the highway, you punch the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're punching the brakes, you start sliding, you can't turn. You know what I mean? The car just, like, you turn the front wheel, it ain't going anywhere. But what I did was punch it just enough where, like, all the animals went flying, everything went flying in the truck, but then I let it go at the last second, spun hard to the right, and then spun hard to the left because if I wouldn't have, I would have flipped over because I was going about 75 when I pulled that maneuver. But again, the grace of God, man. I always thought I might have pissed him off and things I did when I was young, but maybe it's because she was in the car and shit. But that was like I said, I was shook. But that's what I meant by I said in the message, like, yeah, no, that happened this past weekend, and again, fuck, I felt bad for him and his family. The guy who passed, he was an older guy, and I hope the people behind me are all right. I hope they said that person was going to make it. But yeah, that's what ended up happening there, my friend. But other than that, I've been driving so much all over the country that I literally bought a fucking Class A fucking RV that's being driven up from Georgia, a Jayco RV, so I can stop staying in hotels everywhere.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna be.
So all right, well, good to hear you're still in one piece, and yeah, man, you dodged a big one. I've seen videos. I've seen videos
you almost
of those.
Got a fucking funeral notice.
Yeah. Oh fuck, no, don't even say that. But yeah, I've seen videos of those car pileups and all that. Man, that's nightmare fuel right there. But again, good to hear you're good, and I'm not gonna dwell on that.
Thank you, my friend.
I will say this though. Let me just real briefly talk to people about the fights that are going to be taking place, and then I got to ask you something because you've been MIA for about a week and a half, and there's some things that have been developing here that I'm curious to get your thoughts on. First, real quick to people out there, we got Jaime Munguia taking place on a French guy, some Frenchman who can crack worth a damn according to his record. Bruno Suras, I guess that's how you pronounce it. 10-rounder, super middleweights. It's always good to see Jaime Munguia in there because he usually brings the heat. So even if it's a mismatch, I'm curious to see what happens. On the undercard, we got Alan Picasso Romero taking on Isaac Zaki. I haven't been able to see any of Zaki's fight, but it's a 10-rounder junior featherweight. Picasso coming off his career best win over Hovhannisyan. And there's rumors now that if he wins this one, he might become Inoue's mandatory for next year. So some big fights down the line for him, should he make it past Zaki. Then on the zone, earlier that day from Monaco, in the zone, Chivon Clark takes on Leonardo Mosquera. That's a cruiserweight bout. You got MJ Akhmadaliev taking on Ricardo Espinoza. And you got Gary Colley versus Maxi Hughes. So that should be interesting right there. Then we skip the women's fight and we go to Real Boxing, the zone on Ontario, California, from Ontario, California. Now this is the one I'm looking forward to. Alexis Rocha versus Raul Curiel, who is a bona fide puncher. looking to make a splash here with his first serious opponent. That should be a good one. 10 rounds, junior welterweight fight, actually. And then there's Charles Conwell, junior middleweight contender, fighting Gerardo Vergara, an undefeated Argentinian. That should be interesting as well. See what happens. So I'm curious to see what happens with those fights. Again, no super mega fights this Saturday, but a little bit of everything for everybody. Boxing across the board on Saturday. And then we get to the good stuff on the 21st with Usyk Fury rematch. And we got Inoue, we got Ioka, even Ryan Garcia getting into the act. So that's going to be interesting right there. Jimmy, I'm putting a moratorium, at least for myself, I'm placing myself on a moratorium talking about Tank Davis. I no longer want to talk about his future fights. I don't care. If he's not going to fight anybody worth a damn, I won't talk about his future fights until I see him. However, there's something weird going on here on Twitter. His fans are all over the place. This dude posted something interesting on Twitter. He posted a picture there of Walter White in shock, and he said, this is the face Tank fans are going to make when it's the 12th round, and he still hasn't found that shot against Shakur. Meaning, they're always, he always bails himself out with the power, and he won't find that against Shakur Stevenson. Then one of Tank Davis' acolytes comes in, and he says, I think y'all gonna be in shock. Y'all so blinded by his KO ratio, but don't understand, he's not a brawler. Boy won't just knocking, this sentence, by the way, took me a while to figure out. Boy won't just knocking folks out in the amateurs. Real high-level skill. Y'all gonna see. Shakur will not get the nod versus Tank, but just evading all night. Now, I'm curious. I think you've said this before, but just refresh my memory. If Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis were ever to fight, who would you pick in that one? How would you see that one going?
Shakur.
All day?
All day. All day and then some. He wouldn't be able to, he's too short. See, that's what Shakur shines. Short guys. That's why he stayed in the lighter weights and killed himself so he could fight smaller guys. When you have his style against shorter guys, that's when he's going to be at his best. Mm-hmm. When he has length over you and his movement, he's so hard to hit. Yeah. I mean, listen, boring is all outdoors. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't be dropping any money on a flight to go watch him fight. But yeah, no, they're not going to, they wouldn't make that fight. Not in a million. Listen, he's retiring anyway, right? Isn't that what he said after he made that fucking corny ass joke about defense, about, he's retiring. He had all those sycophants sitting around him giggling at his retarded comments. It's just, know what it is? It's all closing in on him. What's happening right now, and this is from sources that I have, that he's bullshit. There's no money. He's not getting offered the money he used to get for beating up scrubs and shit. So he wants out. He wants out of the game. He's not making any fucking money. They're not offering him any money for these fights. It's all completely... it's all on the buys. If he sells so many pay-per-views, which is 500,000, that's before the real money kicks in. And he's only done it once, and that was against Garcia. So he knows. So whatever he makes, so if they're offering him 1.5 to beat up on LaRoche or whatever guy they're going to be pulling up.
Did you call him LaRoche?
That fight's not selling. Yeah, LaRoche, Roach. Yeah, that fight's not selling at all. The tickets are retardedly overpriced.
Ooh.
They're trying to try to pay this kid. This pay-per-view won't even crack 100,000 because there's only so many fans. See, here's the problem. His hardcore fan base don't buy pay-per-views. That's just a fact. They're team stream. I mean, and the numbers bear it out. You know what I mean? The reason why he did that numbers against Garcia, because the Mexican and Mexican Americans buy pay-per-views. Historically, that's been my whole life since they went to the pay-per-view model. You know what I mean? That's soccer than boxing in Mexico, and they love their boxing, and they're not afraid to buy the fights. So he knows the world's closing in on him. He has where else is he going to go? What else is he going to do? How many email belts can he get? How many guys from lower weight classes can they pick up? And it's when you start losing even guys, like I got to say, even guys, I go on Twitter, even guys who are like hardcore tank guys who have been, not hugging this dude for years, or even like, dude, enough's enough. Like, what the fuck? You're really retiring? You still haven't even had a signature fight yet. I know people would say Garcia, but I mean, come on, that kid jumped into that prematurely. Weight train. We all know we don't have to rehash all the bullshit with that. But he wants to retire because he knows, listen, Shakur, and again, ring rust and who you're fighting matters. You don't go from losing rounds to the fucking short bus guy, which you were. If that fight would have been stopped on cuts, you would have lost to Rolly Romero. Okay? You don't lose rounds to him and beat Shakur Stevens in a boxing match. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, yeah, no. I mean, would he be able to catch him with a shot? Who knows? I think Shakur is too slick to be caught in the first 6 rounds. And I don't think that would be his only, it'd be a Wilder fight. It would literally be a Deontay Wilder fight at 135 pounds, meaning he would absolutely have to knock him out to win that, any chance of winning that fight. So if anybody's saying he's got the skills, he's going to be it would come down to skills. That's laughable. Laughable.
I don't know how fresh in your memory the Frank Martin fight still is, but for you, he was. I give Tank Davis credit for fighting differently in that one. He put his guard up and chased Frank Martin down, but he doesn't have a world-class guard. I just put the picture up here. His face was busted up, and I understand that when you put your guard up, you can still get you can still chafe your skin with your own laces and all that. But he was I rewatched that fight not that long ago, and Frank Martin was getting through with his shots. Tank Davis was trying to fight like Canelo Alvarez, and it wasn't working out, and that was against Frank Martin, who ended up panicking later on and tired himself out. So Shakur Stevenson, one thing I give him credit for is he can fight the way he fights for all 12 rounds. There's no problem there. So here's the argument I'm hearing now too from Tank Davis fans is, well, could Shakur Stevenson beat anybody on Tank Davis's resume? And I'm thinking that's not how you judge fight. That's not how you predict fights. You don't go, well, fighter A could never beat some of the guys on fighter B's resume. Therefore, it's like that's not like, are you like Shakur Stevenson versus Ryan Garcia? I think it would be more competitive than people make it seem, because I do think Ryan Garcia has, because of his length and his speed and power, I think he does well against long-range boxers who can crack. But I would still pick Shakur Stevenson to beat him. So who are these killers on Tank Davis's resume that Shakur Stevenson couldn't beat?
Exactly. And you just said the key word, length. Ryan Garcia is a tall guy, especially for 135. And I'd be surprised, even when he does come back, if he fights at 140, I believe Garcia will probably be coming back at 147, more than likely. Because, I mean, he's busting out of his skin. I mean, as he gets older, he's going to be harder and harder to make that lower weight. And now that he's been out for a while, living a good life, it's going to be hard to make 140. If he does come back, it'll probably be like 144 or some catch weight. But either way, the difference between him, and not to change the guy, but Haney, he doesn't have to worry about fucked up promoters.
Right.
There's always going to be an appetite to see his fights. He has a built-in fan base. So regardless, he's suspended, ostrich, and all the other bullshit, his fight, you know what I mean? There's going to be promoters always wanting to put on his fights.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you mentioned Ryan Garcia. Just real quick about Ryan Garcia. He posted a clip of him hitting the Cobra bag or whatever they call it. He's fighting at 154 this in about 2 weeks from now. It's supposed to be an exhibition, but apparently these guys are going to go all out. So, but he's fighting at 154, and he was wearing his pants all the above his navel. And he did look he looked strong, but he didn't have a lot of definition. So yeah, this dude, he said it himself, I think. He can't make 140 anymore. I mean, he couldn't make 140 against Haney. I don't expect him to return to 140 anytime soon in the boxing ring. The other thing I wanted to ask you. They were making a big deal that in the press conference for Davis Roach, they had 2 press conferences. we didn't see Calvin Ford, the trainer. Then somebody posted a clip of that Calvin Ford was backstage, so apparently he was there. But the one guy that is MIA is Eleanor Ellerby, who he
Yep.
ditched Mayweather Promotions and now is all in with Tank Davis. He's MIA, and Rick Glacier apparently
There's no money.
There's no money to pay for his fat ass.
There's no money. It's not worth his while.
Whoa!
When he has to stop paying for his own airfare to go out to these events. You know what I mean? There's no money. The PBC has no money, like zero. I mean, I can't listen. They have a judgment against them. They owe hundreds of millions of dollars to Waddell Reed. So any money they generate has to be off pay-per-view sales and investments into the fights. Of course, when you have Canelo Alvarez, you're going to get guys invest into that fight because, you know, because Canelo Alvarez gets 10,000 people to his fucking warm-ups, his, you know, outside warm-ups. So, of course, you're going to get that. Tank Davis doesn't. So there's no money there. There's no money for Ellaby to even be paid off of. And I wasn't told this, but I would bet you that there's only so much of us. When the pie gets small, you don't want to dice it up as much. You don't want to slice it up as much. So, you know, Tank was probably like, hey, you know, I appreciate all your fucking, you know, ball licking for me on Twitter and shit. But I mean, I haven't really been going to his site to see if he's still promoting the shit out of him, talking him up. But I mean, you know, he can only slice a thin slice so many times. So, you know, Calvin Floyd takes 15%, and I'm sure that being some quasi fucking promoter, Ellaby wanted, you know, probably 10%, but that all starts adding up. And if you're only getting paid $1.5 million, you'd get whacked 40% right off the rip from capital gains tax. All said and done, Tank's taking home $500,000 for his fights.
Right.
Because he's not going to get anything off the pay-per-view end. That's just a given. And you look, and again, I know we had a caller call in saying, oh, no, it's you know, Hall of Fame worthy. No, it isn't. He hasn't fought anybody to even jokingly suggest that dude should go anywhere near the Hall of Fame unless he's there to cut the lawn with the landscaping crew. That's it. That's it.
I got to ask you, though, now that...
And he wants to retire because the world's closing in. What's that, buddy?
I wanted to ask you, now that Ellerby is no longer with Tank Davis, who's going to be doing Tank Davis's laundry?
I mean, really, I don't know. I know listen, one thing about Tank I got to give him credit for, he's loyal to Calvin Ford for whatever that's worth, because he's been the only male figure in his life since he was a little kid, and that was the main reason he dumped Floyd Mayweather. It was right after when Floyd jumped up into the corner of the ring and stepped all over, embarrassed. You know, you don't do that to a trainer, what he did that time. And that was the final straw for Tank. It was right after that fight when he finally said, fucking see you later. And I'm sure that was on the behest of Ford. Like, man, he really humiliated me doing that shit. So, you know, he promotes himself more than his other fighters. But the PBC, to say it's on life support, I mean, Amazon, all year long. Well, today's what, the 9th, the 10th?
The 9th.
So they have what, 18 days to get those 5 extra. Don't they owe us 5 more free events? We're supposed to get 6 of them this year, right? So they got not too many more days to get them in. Come on, which tells you Amazon wasn't even going to give them that. Like they saw the pay-per-view numbers. They're like, we're not giving you any free fucking airtime. If we're not going to get paid for fucking, you know, 40% of whatever you take in, we're not putting on free events. So Amazon wouldn't even give them free airtime to put on free events. That's just a fact. They're definitely not giving them any kind of a budget. So because of that, I mean, supposedly at the turn of the year, like right off the rip, they're supposed to be coming into 2025 with 2 pay-per-views. Right. I mean, that fucking Benavidez versus Morel, and that undercard's garbage. That's a pay-per-view. That's a joke, right? That's an insult. See, there needs to be a self-correction, because the American guys don't want to understand it when the same American guys were like, Inoue needs to come to America to become a star. Hey, dude, tell you what, take a big fucking tall glass and shut the fuck up, stupid.
Oh, wait a minute.
Inoue makes more money on endorsements than any American Bond fighter makes gross all year. Fights, everything included. That's what he makes in endorsements over in Japan. You know what I mean? He sold out that 55,000 seat arena in under 5 hours. So, I mean, like, why would he have to come to a country where they don't respect him? They don't respect his people. He sees what's written about him, what's said about him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you saw at that same press conference, right? This guy named Skip, this mental midget comes from Deontay Boxing by the way of RKTV, literally made up a rumor. Literally just made something up out of thin air. Hey, did you hear what Inoue said about you? And to Tank's credit, didn't buy it. He's like, man, I don't think he said that, because Inoue has been respectful about Tank, and Tank was courteous. I'm actually kind of surprised you showed this self-control to not fly off the handle and go, oh, you said that, blah, blah. But do you see, I mean, to imagine being that, like, that's who's surrounding you. That's what boxing media has divulged into.
That's
You're
insane.
surrounded by sycophants who literally make shit up to piss you off so they can go make content about it to get clicks.
That's insane. Because now thanks for letting us know who the guy was, because I didn't know who he was, but it made the rounds on Twitter that people were saying, why would this guy make that up? Like, Inoue said all you have for him is power. So now you rile the guy up, now you get some quotes, and for what? Like, for a couple of views? Those views are virtually extemporaneous nowadays, with the internet moving so fast and news happening all over the place. In fact, I'll give an example. Syria fell, right? Then all of a sudden, boom, today, they apparently they caught the CEO assassin. So everything moves so quickly, you forget the past headline. So these dudes are essentially doing it for peanuts, and it's disgusting. And then somebody was Southpaw Lefty called in the other day. He said that Dan Canobio went out for ice cream with Tank Davis, and so I tracked down the video. Apparently, it is true. He did go out for ice cream with Tank Davis. So it just confirms that there's no more there's few real journalists out there. It's a crummy business. It's difficult to do. If you want to really get access to these guys, you gotta suck their balls. I don't know how they do it. I do tip my hat off to these guys that do get involved in it, because even though it's not my cup of tea to watch these type of interviews, man, you really got to get down on your knees to do it. So shout out to those guys, man. They're willing to get down in the dirt to do it.
And all you got to do, again, just look at, this is Skip from Deontay Nation by way of RKTV. I mean, if not two of the biggest fucking clickbait trash channels in the YTC, right? I mean, give me a break. I mean, this is the guy, Deontay Nation, literally when the Fulton fight was announced, he instantly put out a video saying, old media is shocked that Fulton made this fight, that searched this fight out, when nothing could have been further from the truth. Like he said, surprised everybody, including Inoue. No, Inoue said literally a year earlier, if at the end of the year I beat the Australian kid and unify this division, I'm going to 122 and I want Fulton. He said that literally a year before that fucking fight with Fulton was announced. So they just make shit up because they know they talk to an echo chamber who's not going to check them. So, again, that's really all that kid did. And they actually called him out on it right there. But, yeah, the guys, I don't know his last name. I know his he made his Instagram account. He blocked it. He made it, like, private, so nobody – because people must have been going at him hard. But, yeah, literally just made up something to try to create make, Davis fly off the handle just so they could make some clickbait videos. Davis says he wants to punch Inoue, just something. But to take Davis's credit, and I'll give him credit when he deserves it, he didn't buy into it. He didn't believe it. He was like, yeah, and they were looking around. But I got to say something else about that. I found it hilarious. Well, they're going on and on about, I didn't know you were even contemplating retiring. I was somebody in the back. I don't know who it was. It wasn't Calvin Floyd. It definitely wasn't Ellaby. Somebody I think it must have been Steven Espinoza. Somebody said, by the way, Tank's fighting Roach, guys, right? The whole fucking pit, which is they call where the fucking reporters stand, just stay dead silent. Like 15 seconds, because nobody had any questions about that fight, because nobody cares. That's the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
And that's what they're realizing now. And so LRB is probably out of the equation. That's the other thing. You mentioned Steven Espinoza. Steven Espinoza was still showing up at these PBC events, even though Showtime's no longer involved and he's no longer working with anybody really. But he seems to show up. I don't know if he shows up because he likes the food at the buffet table or whatever. But he said something about Shakur Stevenson, and a bunch of channels ran with it. He said that Shakur Stevenson had approached him for a Tank Davis fight, and that the reason why nothing materialized is because he wanted a long-term contract with the PBC. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's just utter trash. Oh, wait a minute. Could he have asked for some well, see, that's how the PBC rolls. First off, they don't do one-offs unless even Canelo, and even then they try to do the 3-fight deal. But I'm sure they said, okay, but you'll have to sign with the PBC. But he probably wanted, again, that's part of the reason I need to reset the American boxing scene. These guys are overpricing themselves. They all think they're worth more than they, really are. And so, yeah, I'm sure that he priced himself out, but pricing yourself out, that's just an excuse. Listen, of course he doesn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. A pure boxer almost always beats a boxer puncher, and I wouldn't even call him a boxer. He throws the least amount of punches of anybody at 135 pounds. So that means Shakur, with that height, which would be, I believe, 4 inches, and an arm reach of 4 inches on top of that, would just stick that, and he does have a very good jab. That's, you know what I mean? Boring is all outdoors, but he's got a laser fast jab, and it's accurate as fuck. And if someone has a fast jab, it makes you have to reset. You know what I mean? You stick that in your face all night, it would frustrate him. And we see what happens. When Tank gets frustrated, he does dumb things, and he leaves himself open for more, even be hit even more. Again, it would be a Deontay Wilder-ish type fight. He would have to catch him. If he doesn't catch him with a big shot, he's going to lose that fight. That's a guarantee. He's not going to outbox Shakur Stevenson. That's just laughable to even suggest it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those fights that unfortunately probably never will happen. So I don't think we're getting it. And they were making a big deal that, Tank Davis said he's gonna call somebody out after the fight. He never does that. I'm thinking, man, is that the level? Is that a level where we're at, the place we're at now, where he calls somebody out, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to get excited over that? Now it's a trash event. Espinosa saying that they got more events coming up, a free card coming up with Amazon. I got no. I would like to see more boxing. Don't get me wrong, but they've lost all confidence, even from their fans. A lot of their PBC fans now are saying, "Man, this is ridiculous. What's going on with the PBC?" So they're slowly.
Well, Espinosa does work for the PBC, by the way. He actually is now an employee. And again, I don't know if it's true, but the rumor is Al Heyman has disappeared again.
Interesting.
He's in the wind again. Yeah, that's been the rumor, that nobody's heard from him again. He's not returning calls again. So take that for whatever that's worth. I think even Rick Glacier tweeted about it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, but it's been Tom Brown, and it was actually Steven Espinosa, through his connections from Showtime, who brokered the deal with Amazon. And he tried and tried for them to put up some kind of money so they could have some kind of budget. And they're like, why would we? For what? You don't think we can read analytics, dude? There's a reason you're out of a job. Look at your numbers, bro. Your numbers are shite. But now, it took me a career to get fired for me to figure it out. And remember their first pay-per-view? They did. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it was fucking trash. It didn't even crack 100,000. So you think Amazon saw that? I mean, that told you right there that I believe what happened. Al Hamm was probably told that Espinosa, I'll get some money out of these guys. Don't worry. I'll be able to get some money, some kind of budget. Don't worry. And when they didn't give a budget, Al Heyman said, okay, fuck you. I'm not putting on anything big for free. I'm not giving them even any revenue.
Wow.
So who knows?
Yeah,
I heard that he's reached out to Netflix, and Netflix told him to go fucking pound sand. They've burnt bridges with NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox. I mean, you can be a promoter, but if you don't have a streaming service, you're nothing.
Yeah,
you're
even
nobody.
even if he hadn't burned his bridges with CBS network television, it's still there's no boxing in network television. They don't want to. They don't want to do any type of network boxing. So those options were already off the rest, of the table. That's the other thing though is, did you hear though? Top Rank finally they are ending their ESPN tenure, and I'm glad, man. This year's Top Rank ESPN, it was bad, man. The fact that Shakur Stevenson is the guy that did the biggest ratings for them speaks volumes about the lackluster year they had. But apparently they've got the contract. I think it's up to the middle of 2025. There's, Rick Glacier says he knows where they're going, but that he can't say. Have you heard anything about it, or can you speculate on where Top Rank will land next? Really?
I think they're all going to go under the zone umbrella or something like that. It's going to be something, or they're going to strike out with some. I can't see them doing a minor thing. I don't want it to. You want it on something that's going to be able to put on free shows. Mm-hmm. The problem is if you go with some Mickey Mouse place, and you're going to stream shit. Like, you're going to have to put too many cards on pay-per-view. Then you're in the same kind of boat the PBC is. Listen, the Zone, and I'm not a Zone fan. I feel they snookered people and how they kept jacking up their price.
Right.
But they got Matchroom right now. Sky Boxing has just lost Warren. Fucking Warren's not going to be on the Zone. The thing is with the Riyadh season, I mean, this guy, he's putting on pay-per-views for $20. I don't know if they're waiting for the old man to pass on, but, Bob Bob first, and I'm not saying this is an insult, but Bob's Jewish. And, Jews and Muslims, they work together like fucking oil and water. There's a reason he doesn't like to say, but I'm just saying it is what it is.
I think Bob Arum's one of those... that line of Jews that the only color that matters is green. I think that's what it is with him. But you're right; it could be some obstacles there. By the way, it's everything, like just bringing everything over to there. But he's been absolute. They were furious with ESPN, and I believe it showed. Like you said, this was a bad year for Top Rank. I believe they purposely weren't going to give ESPN anything, but ESPN is circling a drain too. Their numbers are horrendous. Yeah,
outside of what's his name? Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, Skip Bayless is on YouTube now.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He's off Fox. Yeah. Yeah, there's nobody. Outside of Stephen A. Smith, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. All these hotels that used to have ESPN, it was either CNN or ESPN running 24 hours around the clock. They don't have it anymore. They went woke, and now they're reaping the rewards.
Well, it's I'm confident Top Rank is going to find their way. It's certainly not like the PBC, which is a house of cards which is just waiting to fall. I mean, it's been falling. It's just anybody with a brain can see it. But that's the other thing, though, is so Top Rank. Okay, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they get their act together. Because Rick Glacier, I was on. He was on a panel that I was on the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that no, it's not the Zone. But then I heard somebody else say it was the Zone too. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I guess you gotta go with what people. I guess we gotta.
I'm only saying that, Mr. VDA. Let me tell you, nobody told me the Zone. I'm saying they're the most secure. Like, if they're not getting out of boxing, where else really would they go? Unless Bob was to really invest into something. I mean, if he's willing. I mean, Christ, he's in his 90s.
Right.
Can't take it with you. I mean, does he want to invest and put into some streaming service and do his own Top Rank streaming? I mean, is that something they want to go down? I mean, if you really want, but then you got to look at this. That's when you sit down and you say, where's the health of the sport right now?
Right.
And outside of America, it's decent, right? Some decent fights. I mean, better BL, fucking Bival. But these aren't American fighters. I'm talking about American fighters. Outside of the Twitter wars, really, what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, it's difficult to ascertain. Yeah, boxing is doing well. I mean, in the UK, it's still on. Mexico, people still love boxing. Mexican Americans and Mexicans still watch boxing. I mean, just look at Canelo doing great numbers in Mexico where it's free, and even here in North America with the pay-per-view. So the Sheik is coming, trying to pump some life into it. But is he pumping life into something that's just, is he just extending the inevitable? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. The other thing I want to ask you, did you catch any of the fights this past Saturday?
Which particular fight?
The Navarrete versus Valdez 2.
Yeah. No, Valdez should retire. Did he hang it up? I don't know. I haven't read anything since, but he should just retire. I mean, he's, there's no knock on him, but what are you in it for now? You don't need to keep taking hits to the head. For lesser, it's going to be lesser and lesser money now. Navarrete showed that he doesn't belong up in that height because he went back down in weight, right? That was down at the lower weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think to either to please Bob or hubris, I think he was just jumping up in weight classes way too fast. He never let his body get acclimated, and I think that last fight that when he lost, I think he realized like, oh shit, I just can't keep just jumping up weight classes.
I was telling people on yesterday that because he's already a 3-division world champion. Usually guys that win a title in the 4th one, they need to have speedy fighters, because at least they can still outmaneuver their opponents in the higher weight classes. He doesn't have that. He's a relatively tall guy, and he hits hard, but he's also, because of his awkwardness, he's kind of slow. So I think that's why 130 is really his ceiling, and he should stay there. I was actually kind of suspect of Navarrete because I've always, well, not always, but for the last 2 years, I was saying, how come Top Rank isn't pushing this guy when they got an entertaining power puncher on their hands? And meanwhile, they're pushing Shakur Stevenson and all these other boring guys. Then Navarrete started, after the Valdez fight, the first one, he started, I don't know, he looked mediocre against Conceição. I thought he could have stopped him if he stepped on the gas pedal. Instead, it was a draw. Then he goes up to 135 and looks bad against Baranchyk, even though I thought the fight could have gone either way because it was so uneventful. But it was still, it's like, I don't like fighters who don't give it their all. But then in the Valdez rematch here, he finally stepped it back up and became the first guy to stop Valdez. So I'm a little bit, I'm on my way back to the Navarrete train, but it's maybe that's why they don't push him so much.
If he trains hard, he's a deadly guy. If he really puts it in the gym, that's his knock. That's always been the knock with this kid. Is it's hard to get him in the thing to, like, he likes the nightlife and he likes his life outside the ring. Some guys just, they're not into training as hard, and that's always been his knock. He's kind of lazy.
Right.
Once you get him in the gym, he'll put in the effort, but sometimes just getting him to the gym is like pulling teeth.
Maybe that's why.
That's what I've always heard about him.
Yeah, maybe that's why Top Rank were hesitant to put all their chips on him, because they know that this dude probably doesn't, he slacks off in training and all that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. They're talking about the O'Shaquie Foster fight. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Okay, so more drama here from Twitter. O'Shaquie Foster was present at this past weekend's Top Rank card. And obviously they're trying to match him with Navarrete for all the marbles, or for 130-pound supremacy. But there's another player at 130, and that is Raymond Ford, who just recently moved up to 130 after suffering his first loss at 126 against Nick Ball. So now he's at 130. He's looking healthier. They're going at it on Twitter, which, again, probably means they're never going to fight each other in for real, but nevertheless, they're going at it on Twitter, and this is what happened. I don't know how this whole thing started. I haven't been able to find the first tweet, but O'Shaquie Foster said, "Hey, G, you got all this internet smoke for me. Question, why you ain't pulled up and pressed some shit yet? Pressed some shit. I don't know what that means. Thought I was going to see you in Arizona this past weekend. Why you ain't come to the WBC convention? Niggas knew I was coming. Where you savage at, little nigga?" Okay, so he's calling him a little N-word. I mean, I got to tell you. I don't know how Twitter allows that to stay up. Then Raymond Ford said, "Now, why would I be in Arizona for a Top Rank card that got nothing to do with me? And I never been to a convention. I don't know what you try." Yeah, conventions. What are they? Mark Hamill? "I don't know what you're trying to put in the air, but you look foolish. And ain't you the nigga that say shit personal? Send a contract and you'll see how savage this shit can get." So then O'Shaquie Foster said, excuses, nigga, you tough over the net, pull up on me if you like that, and press some shit. Okay, so apparently he really wants Raymond Ford to press some shit. And then he said, fuck it, when I see ya, I'ma press you, stamp that. So that's what's going on Twitter, Jimmy. Who do you think wins between Raymond Ford and O'Shaquie Foster at 130?
See, I really don't even know. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'd have to. They both. I don't know enough about Raymond Ford. I mean, I think he's only got like 17 fights, 16, 17 fights. I haven't seen many of his fights. I know.
I'm gonna press that shit, Jimmy.
O'Shaquie Foster.
You for an answer. I'm gonna press that shit.
I don't know. If that had to be pushed like right off the rip, I'd probably say Foster would probably outbox him right now.
Yeah, I think he's just taller too.
He's an awkward guy to fight. He's not another one not too exciting to watch and stuff. But yeah, Twitter wars. Mm-hmm. Another one who's recently another American fighter who I've just lost all. I'm just done pushing him, like just saying, yeah, think this kid's got the Philadelphia kid. I mean, his father's ran his mouth so many times now, and to pull out of the Ortiz fight. I mean, they forget that it was him who said he wanted to fight Ortiz at 154, that he would go to fucking 154 to fight him, but then he backs out of it. And after his father, Boozy or Bootsy, whatever his name is, said they would fight him. I think, listen, when you have a rematch with Karen and, you go all 12, you don't want to get hit by Virgil Ortiz.
Hey, by the way,
it's the same thing, though, right? These American fighters, at the end of the day, he was with the PBC, right? Boots. And all his claim to fame was he was the guy, it was the PBC fanboys who hated Crawford. And when Crawford beat up Spence, they all fucking jumped over to the Boots, right? He was brought up just by internet talk. Oh, he can punch. He's got length, yada, yada, yada. And he has natural gift. He's a naturally talented, athletic guy. But as he stepped up in competition, I mean, has he dazzled anybody recently? I mean, honestly, have you been impressed by any of his last few fights?
Well, what do you mean by impressed? Because that's a relative term.
I mean, okay, all right. He should have stopped that guy. I mean, they rematched Kieran for a reason.
Right.
Remember, he caught a lot of shit for that fight, for the first fight, because he couldn't lay a glove on him. That kid was running around the ring. And this kid actually stayed more in the pocket to fight him. And they still went all 12, if I'm not mistaken, right? That fight went all 12, right?
Yeah, he did, and he got clipped a lot by a guy who can't crack. That's why I don't know. Maybe Teofimo Lopez could make something happen, but I don't know. We'll see if that even happens. The other thing is, people. By the way, some people were complaining about me with the end. First of all, it was IGGA. I was just reading what these guys were saying. So if I'm reading it for journalistic purposes or to explain what they were saying, then I'm just saying what they're saying. They're Afro-Anglos and they're saying it. So I'm just giving you the unfiltered version of what they were saying. And if you don't like it, take it up with them. They're the ones that said those words. Now, the other thing I want to bring up is you mentioned you mentioned something about Crawford there. Eli Segback is still going at it with Crawford, and Eli Segback still appears to be delusional here. Listen to what he had to say about how he ran into. We had a run. Hold on. He ran into Crawford apparently. I don't know if it was this past week or something. Apparently it was recently, and he had this to say about his encounter with Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, he told me that he's gonna slap the shit out of me, and you know what I told him? I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. I punked him.
Nah, he would have fought you up so bad, Ellie.
I'm telling you guys, he's a fake gangster. He's a fake.
You versus Crawford?
Oh, wow.
Hey, you will take a worse beating than Eddie Hearn versus Oscar de la Hoya. Yeah.
I'm better than 90% of his opponents. What are you talking about? He fought nobody. The easiest undisputed at 40. He's a hyped up guy with a hyped up record. Fake star. Fake legend. Fought no one. Hey.
Now, when Eli Sagback feels besmirched, he really goes off the deep end. And let me tell you, some people might be thinking, oh, he was half kidding or he was being facetious. He said the same thing about Mario Lopez. I forget why they got into it. And he said, Eli Sagback said that he would beat Mario Lopez in a boxing fight. Now, just for context, Mario Lopez is a guy who can box. There was a YouTube clip. It's no longer up, but he used to be there. He was fighting in a smoker. And he went at the dude with a jab upstairs, jab downstairs, and then a quick right upstairs. So he threw the guy off for a loop and smacked the guy's head around. This dude can box. Meanwhile, Eli Sagback, and maybe you guys can find it if you look for it, because I don't remember, it was so long ago, but he was at the old Robert Garcia Academy, and he was sparring some fellow YouTuber. It was a British guy. And this British guy knew how to box a little bit. Just a little bit. He was certainly better than Eli Sagback. And he was stabbed. Every time he would tap Eli Sagback on the face, Eli Sagback would turn away. He would turn away. So lest you think that A, he was kidding. No, he's not, because he already said the same thing about Mario Lopez. And B, that he would beat anybody or even come close to giving Terence Crawford any sort of fight. This dude is delusional. I don't understand what Eli said, what's wrong with him. When he gets angry, he really loses. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a mental patient. He's a literal mental patient. If he thinks he punked Crawford, he's a fake gangster. Crawford's done everything he's had in his power. He grew up hard. He grew up fucking hard, believe me. If he would have fucking disrespected Crawford, especially to his face, Crawford would have slapped the shit out of him. Who's he kidding? I punked him. I mean, you heard Garcia, right? I believe that was Garcia's voice. He must have been at the Garcia gym. I don't know why the hell they allow him to fucking dirty up their place, right? But listen, this is what happens when all your predictions are constantly wrong. Remember he was, Errol Spence is going to fucking beat his ass, yada, yada, yada. Like he was like screaming it from the mountaintops. So when he's made to look stupid, which isn't hard, he takes it personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he took it personal against Tyson Fury, took it personal against McGregor, against Ronda Rousey. I think even Joe Rogan caught some flack. I mean, listen, this dude doesn't like anybody. He will go all out and hold a grudge. He sounds like a very vindictive person, and I don't know. It's like his catchline is reporting. His tagline, right? Reporting, but you're not reporting really. I mean, he's reporting some information, but he's not a reporter, a real reporter, because he takes it personal with these guys, and he creates these feuds. And I mean, right now he's on the Tank Davis camp. He won't stop. He kept saying when Tank Davis said that he was going to retire, Eli Sagback, he posted about 2-3 times, boxing won't be the same without Tank Davis. You're going to miss Tank Davis when he's gone. I'm thinking, you can get off your knees now. Eli, he already saw the first one. I mean, geez, Louis, this is insane, man. But I think part of him really does believe he could beat Terence Crawford in a fist fight.
I can tell you what I heard. I don't have nothing to back it up, but I heard he's a litigation boy.
Really?
I heard he threatens everybody with lawsuits.
Whoa.
Like, people have threatened to put hands on him. I'll have you arrested. I'll sue you. Yada, yada, yada. Because he controls his own, clips. So he'll post stuff of like people throwing him out of gyms.
Uh-huh.
Right. But, he doesn't post the groveling when he's begging to go in. Remember Tyson Fury? You get the hell out of here. He kicked him out of the fucking press conference and stuff.
Right. And he said, I remember he said, you get out. You and then Eli Sagback said, no, it wasn't me. But the guy never accused him of anything. He just said, I know, like, you get out. And the guy said, it wasn't me, meaning he knew what he'd said. So I think, don't quote me on this, but I think what he'd said about Tyson Fury, I think he'd called him a cracker or something, that he was doing crack. And Tyson Fury paid attention, remember who he was, and just kicked the guy out. And then he's, like you said, he was groveling. No, it wasn't me. And then 10 minutes later, he makes a video in his car going, thank you, Tyson Fury, for making me more famous. You made me more famous now because you kicked me out of the gym. So I want to thank you. It's like, he's being condescending and trying to play it off as if, I'm coming out as a winner. I'm thinking, man, you're looking petty, man. But again, that type of shit works for him. I don't think he's as big. I know he's got a lot of subscribers, but I don't think he's as, every once in a while, maybe he'll get a video where he'll get like 500,000 views or something. But yeah, most people know what's up with him. And he lost a lot of credibility years ago when people started realizing he takes sides. And that's what I was saying earlier. This business, this journalism, so-called journalism in boxing, it's a dirty business, man. I don't know how these guys do it.
Well, his retention, if you go to YouTube analytics, his retention, his views are horrible. For the number of followers he has, horrible. See, the thing is with YouTube, it's notorious. People just don't unfollow. People follow people, but they just don't bother going through and unfollowing the people they don't mess with anymore.
Right.
Right? So his numbers are terrible. He puts up terrible numbers. He comes from a family his father has money. So he comes from money. His father bankrolled his whole life. You know what I mean? That's why he was able to marry that woman who was, he went way above his, pay grade and looks wise because he has money. He knows, she knows he's getting that bag when his parents died. I think he only has a sister, but there's enough money to go around where he's going to be set for life. But that's the reason why he was able to go reporting, and drive around and show up to these places, even though he wasn't making money doing it.
Right. Yeah, that's true, though. It's like he's one of the first guys who became big on YouTube, taking a camera and actually showing up to gyms and all that. So he put in the work, don't get me wrong, but at some point he kind of lost his way. He let his ego get in the way where if somebody says something bad about him, he takes it to heart and he doesn't even try to understand the criticism. He just says, criticism equal bad, therefore this person now my enemy. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe his numbers would be better if he actually stopped and listened to the criticism and said, you know what, let me adjust or let me correct some things. That's why you do have to listen to what the people say, because unless you're a huge star like Joe Rogan who claims he doesn't read any type of comments, which I'm pretty sure, I suspect he might be lying, but you need to have a feedback. You need to have some feedback relationship with the audience. Otherwise,
well, see, someone like Rogan, he has a team of people who read it for him.
Right.
And what they do is on their Twitter, they have it set where the only thing that actually shows up in the feed are like blue check marks. If you don't have a blue check mark, it's not even going to show up in the feed.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And he's got 6 or 7 full-time employees who I'm sure read, they go through it, to catch anything. But yeah, I believe he doesn't probably look at it because it just make you crazy because his engagements are so huge when he does all the tweeting,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's way too big to be reading all the comments. Obviously, that's impossible for him. But yeah, man, that's him saying that about Crawford is like, I don't know. And then on top of that, Crawford's the type of guy too who's vindictive. So now he's making an enemy with a guy who's vindictive as well. And I think, is that really necessary? And how did this whole thing start? Why did Elie Segbach side more with the Spence faction, or what happened?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. No, he was Team Spence from off the rip. But like most of the Team Spence guys, all the excuses came. The same guys who never mentioned that accident, not once, when he fucking fought DSG, right? When he couldn't stop, fucking DSG, who gets stopped by Lara. But right, nobody mentioned his accident. Nobody mentioned he looked off.
Mm-hmm. And
again, he didn't have not even so much as a concussion from that car accident. I don't care that he got flipped from the car, yada. People go like, "He was in a terrible accident." Yeah, but when you're drunk, you're blacked out. You flow from the car and you roll. Like he said himself, I had no residual effects from that car accident. He slid on his face. He got some road rash, but he didn't even sustain a concussion, meaning his brain takes more of a battering in sparring sessions than it did in that car accident. What his reflexes and his balance was so off from was the drinking and everything with a slow fucking Texas twang and everything he kept stressing, which we all know what everything is either the opioids or the cocaine he was doing along with that heavy drinking.
Allegedly.
He even talked about, no, well, I'm not really, because he went on a podcast to say, even after his accident, he said he kept drinking and everything. He kept stressing at everything, even after his car accident. In fact, he said he got more messed up in the second car accident in the rear end when he got either rear-ended somebody or somebody rear-ended him than he did when he flipped his Ferrari. So again, it's just amazing. People just can't people make wrong picks. right? You were like, but see, the problem is you got guys who like some of the guys called in, not to this show so much, but I saw guys who called in and debated with like Julius from Ring IQ and just like fucking, oh my God, made it personal. You don't know what you're talking about. Spencer's got to humiliate him. He's going to fucking knock him out. Crawford's never fought anybody. Nobody with his fucking, power and all this shit. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who the fuck has Spence ever fought? Like, what are you guys talking about? So, I mean, we all in this panel, we saw it. We all made the right call. Everybody on this panel picked fucking Crawford, and I believe everybody, I know you picked him to stop him. Bucho, I believe, picked him to stop him. Not everybody, though. We were one of the few panels that actually picked him to stop Spence.
Yeah, I think I actually
some guys picked him to beat him, but
I picked. I think I picked him by decision, but I don't think it was. Yeah.
Nope. I know for a fact you picked him to stop him. By the end, you were teetering, but going into the fight, your final pick, as I remember it, your final pick was Crawford by stoppage.
I'd have to check. Well, I'll take your word for it. Why not? But yeah, man, that was a weird saga with the Spence fans going at it with the Crawford fans. Be that as it may, we gotta go. We were just here to taking some calls and catching back on some. Again, people watch some of the fights are going to be taking place this Saturday. Raul Curiel versus Rochat. I think that's probably going to be the fight of the night. So check that one out. And yeah, there's a lot of boxing going on this Saturday. Like I said, nothing extremely big, no big mega fights or super big names. But if you're a boxing fan, you should enjoy some of the stuff that's going to be coming up here. Again, shout out to everybody who called in. Jimmy, thank you for being on. Good to hear you're back and that you're all right. And everybody, by the way, everyone who donated via the Buy Me a Beer, shout out to those guys, everybody who called in, and everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Impala, #CCD, Quick Sloth, Handsome Mechanic, King KO, Protectorate General, Knockout Ned, Handsome Mechanic. And if I forgot anybody, it's because we Grievous. If I forgot anybody, it's because we got to go. But shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. Catch you in the next one. Woohoo!